Kyle was on KMBR, John Lynch was on KMBR today, and they both basically said nothing's really happening at the deadline. And I was not exactly surprised to hear that, but it did make me wonder, Grant, if internally, and this is, our favorite thing to do here on the show, irresponsible speculation. But it did make me wonder if internally Kyle and John sat down and said, look, we don't think this team is as good as it has been in years past. We don't think we're one or two guys away from making a legitimate Super Bowl run. Why don't we play who we have, hope that McCaffrey can come back in Greenlaw, and we'll see where the chips fall? Because I think the other thing they've seen, Grant, is this rookie class that they have looks to be their best rookie class in years. And maybe their thinking is, if we keep our picks and we have another class that's similar to that in 2025, we can be right back among the best rosters in the league, and we can make another legitimate run at this thing immediately. So I'm wondering if maybe that is part of the reason why they are not burning up the phone lines trying to make a deal before Tuesday's deadline.
It's a great question. There's a lot of potential theories. So let's go through them. One is they agree with you. They're about to go on a run, as is. Christian McCaffrey's coming back. He's going to be great. They've done this before. Why panic and trade picks, mortgage the future for some veteran who doesn't know the system per se? Like they tried that with Chase Young last year. It didn't work. Maybe they feel that way. Or maybe maybe it's bigger. Maybe it's business. Maybe they went to the owners this offseason and convinced them to spend a lot of money. These guys spent a ton of money, cash, on signing bonuses to keep current players on the team happy. 3 or 4 guys, more than that. And now you go be like, hey, it wasn't enough. We're kind of struggling at 4-4. Can we get Zadarius Smith? Can we get at some point, maybe the owners say, no, we've spent enough, make it work. I don't know. There are a lot of ways you could go with this, but they're not making a move.
It's possible. Tim Kawakami kind of mentioned that before the season about how maybe some of the reluctance from the Niners to spend to give all these guys new contracts was just because ownership was like, damn, man, we spent enough. There's no way to know for sure. John Lynch was asked on KMBR, were you in on Deontay Johnson? And he said no. And first of all, he answered it, which is surprising. And then he was just like, nope. So
is it possible when Kyle had to run into the front office and say, no, don't trade Brandon Ayuk. Come on, please. Just give him $30 million a year. He said, okay. Is it possible that behind the closed doors, they're like, all right, Kyle, we'll do this, but don't you freaking dare come to us at the trade deadline asking us to spend more money. This is it for this year. I don't know.
I mean, that very well could be. I have no idea to know, but it's not this wild conspiracy theory. That is a logical conclusion that one person could come to.
The Yorks spend a lot of money. They spent hundreds of millions of dollars on renovating Levi Stadium. They're heavily invested. They own Leeds United. They spend. And I think at a certain point they might say enough. I don't know.
And maybe the Niners really do believe that, hey, once McCaffrey gets back, that they don't need anybody else, that the young players that they have are going to be good enough. I certainly would love to see them add, at least, if not an impact edge rusher, some depth along the defensive line. I think they clearly could use that.
Linebacker.
Yeah, unless they really are confident in Greenlaw. I don't know. Because if you have Greenlaw, Warner, and Winters, I could get on board with that.
It sounds like they're more hopeful about McCaffrey than Greenlaw. With McCaffrey, they're like, hey, everything goes well. There's a couple of weeks. He might go. With Greenlaw, they're like, yeah, week to week. Well, we're not. It just seems like if he comes back at all this year, that would be kind of surprising to me. Remember, it still hasn't even been. What has it been 9 months? I feel 9 months. Not even.
The second devastating part of that, obviously the first was losing him for the Super Bowl itself. But then the second worst part of that is it was so late in the calendar that you knew it was really going to affect 2024 because that's just the reality of the timeline with the injury that he had.
I hate to bring this up. I don't even want to put it out there, but I think it's probably crossed people's minds. It would really suck if something similar like that happened to Christian. Delaying it, trying to make it right, and then all of a sudden the potentially the inevitable happens. Yeah, that would really, really suck.
And there's no way to. The problem is there's no way to avoid it, right? Because I guess you could.
They're trying,
right? you could sit him for the whole year, but even that, you don't really know. I mean, so it's a tricky
Yeah.
situation. At some point, Christian's probably like, look, I have to at least try. Like, if it happens, it happens. But like,
But if
either
it
way,
happens in
I'm not playing.
February, oof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a couple super chats here I want to get to. David spread my sheets for party. Oh God, it's a good username. Says Ryan Hensley for president. It's got to be Ryan's burner, I'm pretty sure.
Probably.
Moon says lose with the team you got. Injury excuse, trade assets to grab a player or two, and lose heads roll. I will say this, Grant. I have been surprised at what the guys that have been traded have gone for. It seems like they have not gone for much. 5th round picks, 6th round picks. Like, if you could get a Calais Campbell for a 6th round pick, like,
You have to do it. You have the
right?
most cap space in the league. Like, remember, it was just a couple of months ago where people were saying you got to give Brandon Ayuk all this money. It's a Super Bowl year. You got to spend all this money. I mean, this is the last. This could be the last year of the window. Like, don't stop now, Denise. Come on, write some checks. What are you doing? You're 4-4. Stats just laid out the pattern. You're gonna be fine. You can't give up now because I said it's going bad. Listen to Rob.
Does Kyle have this photo, this data, and is he just going to go drop it into Jed York's office or John York? You know, he showed up,
or maybe John's dropping it, and Kyle's like, "Don't worry, man. You don't need new players. You're good. You're a great coach."
Right? Yeah, it works both ways. Kyle's like,
yeah,
take a run, and they're like, "No, it turns out you're pretty good without it anyway."
We believe in you, Kyle. You got it in you.
The John York thing at practice. I know you were talking about that. Like, do you think he was just in town because he wanted to see them play the Cowboys, or like, what do you think was the deal there?
I mean, I can't speculate because I don't know. And I'm sure if you ask their PR staff, that's what they'd say. Hey, he was just in town. It just seems that the times that he's randomly just in town is when they're 3-4 on a given year. Like, he just happens to be there when it's like, when it's just about to be panic time, and then they win. So I don't know, man. It doesn't seem like, it's kind of interesting because he's older and it doesn't seem like he's there to like talk or be in charge, but just his mere presence must send shivers down their spine. It's like, damn, the boss's boss is here. Okay. We got it.
Everybody sit up a little straighter, tuck in the shirt, you know. It's
Good to see you, John.
yeah, sure. How you doing, Dr. York? You always got to throw a doctor in there.
It's cool to have that kind of impact when you just walk into a place. It's like, oh, shh.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
Yeah, me neither. I never will.
Hey, you're back on number 1 among 49ers content creator YouTube subscriptions, according to the chat. So you got
wonderful. That. Hey, things happen sometimes. It's good. It's a good time. I got to thank Andy Reid for that one. Got to thank Patrick Mahomes, Kyle Shanahan. I really got to thank Kyle Shanahan. I started with nothing on this YouTube, and now look how far I've come. Really couldn't have done it without him. So appreciate him. Been a lot of quarterbacks, but he's been the constant.
There were some things about the game on Sunday night that I thought was exciting. One was like we saw the easy button appear again, right? We saw screen passes. We saw end arounds to wide receivers. Ricky Pearsall had a beautiful end around. We saw short passes in the second half. Like, we saw a lot of the things that we were asking, where the hell is all this stuff? It was there on Sunday night. So that was encouraging to me.
Kyle saving it. Again, to your point that he just wants to win later on in the season. He's been sandbagging it. He's just been lowering expectations. He didn't show any creativity earlier in the year. He knew he was going to lose to the Chiefs. He's just one step ahead. And it's like, okay, John York shows up. Sunday Night Football, Cowboys. How can I not embarrass this team? It's America's team. I got to do it. And he did it, which gives us hope that Kyle Shanahan still has new, fresh ideas, because he was in that 1/3 quarter, he was killing it. And really earlier on, Brock was missing some throws that were open, but that's neither here nor there.
Oh, but you can't say that. God forbid you point that out. Half of 49ers fans will come after you because you criticize the quarterback. He's not perfect, and it's okay to say when he's good, and it's okay to say when he's bad.
It's not okay, because he hasn't gotten paid yet. He's still like your little brother. But once he gets paid $60 million a year, then people are going to be talking about the throws he missed every week. And it won't just be like Niners fans. It'll be people all over the country, because you have that. I mean, look at Dak. Dak looks miserable. Brock, look at Dak. Dak looks absolutely miserable now that he's the highest paid player in the league, because he can't stand up to the scrutiny. He'd be so much happier if he was just making 40.
He looked like he wanted to be anywhere else but at Levi's Stadium. Like, it was not good.